content creation has completely changed my life over the last 4 or 5 years. So let's go back in time here. Back in 2019, up to that point, from 2012, 2019, that 6 year, 5 year period, I had been building businesses where I wasn't front facing. Nobody knew that I was involved with it because it was about the window washing or about the gym or about the manufacturing, right? Nobody knew I was part of the business. And I would build these businesses, they would be successful, and then I would exit them. And it wasn't until 2019 that I was stepping out of one business and I was starting a new one that I realized, holy crap, every time I do this, I have to start the flywheel from scratch because nobody knows. I don't have reputation. I don't have the goodwill that comes from selling one thing and starting another. You know, when Elon does it, you know, he can go and raise $1 billion for his next venture because everybody knows what he's capable of and what he's associated with. So in 2019, as I'm stepping out of one business and starting a new one, I realized, oh crap, I need to build maybe the most important compounding vehicle of all, which is personal brand. I needed to start to build a name so that people would associate what I know and what I do, you know, with the things that I've done. And so I started content creating. I started, you know, a podcast. I started putting out written content on LinkedIn and on Twitter and all these different platforms. I was everywhere and I was doing it. And I was doing it at a low level. I wasn't very good yet, right? Like in the beginning, you suck. And I compensated for my sucking with quantity. Just, you know, the quantity has a quality all of its own. And so I just put out a ton of content. I started an Instagram account, and every day for 1 year, I would start my camera, I would talk to it for under a minute, and then I would push post. And that helped me get really good at communicating concisely to a camera and then actually building the muscle of putting it out to the world. After that year, I deleted that account. I didn't delete it, but I just made it invisible so nobody can really find it, right? Because it was a bunch of really crappy content. But I wanted to get good at it, right? And so in the beginning, we compensated with quantity. We started doing it everywhere all at once. And the thing was, it wasn't really paying any dividends in the beginning. Like it was a really slow slog. A lot of the content didn't get very many views, got practically zero engagement. And it really felt like I was screaming into a black hole. But I also knew that if I screamed long enough, eventually somebody would hear and that person would come over and then eventually somebody else might come too. And so we kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And it wasn't until maybe 3 years into that journey that we really started to see traction. And this would have been towards the end of 2022 when the YouTube channel blew up, you know, and it went from 220 subscribers and we had been putting out a lot of videos for 2 years. And then suddenly we unlocked the quality game. We unlocked the platform. And now we're at like 270,000 subscribers, right? Same with LinkedIn. For years, I was putting out daily content, grinding, couldn't figure it out. Was at maybe 8,000 subscribers. And then a year and a half ago, unlocked it. And now we're at like 100,000, right? And so the message there is that it takes a long time with content to hone your voice, become known for something, be able to communicate it in interesting and compelling ways. But the truth is that it's one of the most impactful things that I've ever done for my businesses. But not even that. Let's put the business downstream effects for the businesses, which is, you know, the more people that know you exist, the more they can buy from you, right? The more your business will grow. That is just a simple metric. And that's great. And I'll be honest, that was why I started creating content in the first place. But maybe the most impactful downstream effect of this has actually been the insights that I've gained just into my own personal psychology, understanding why I think what I think, and then improving the way that I communicate messages. That's not just a valuable skill for talking to a camera, but also, you know, communicating with a loved one or communicating with an employee or a vendor, right? The ability to communicate our ideas with impact is always valuable. In fact, it might be the most powerful skill of all, because if you can influence people with your words, you can move mountains. And so, yes, creating content has had massive benefits for my business, but more important, it's had massive benefits for me individually. I've had relationships. I've met people that I once considered to be heroes. Now I consider them close friends. Like, there's been nothing bad that comes from creating content except the judgment of people. Right? When you put yourself out there and you create content, you are opening yourself, you're making yourself vulnerable to the opinions of others. And that can be very difficult. But it only stops you if you let it stop you, right? At the end of the day, I struggled with this too. It wasn't just the anonymous people that were criticizing content. It was like the friends and the family who would make snide little remarks when you're at dinner with them. And they'd, you know them well enough to know that they're making a remark and they're judging you. And they're trying to say it with like a passive aggressive little voice, but like it still hurts, right? And that maybe is the only negative that's ever come from this. But at the end of it, honestly, the ability to create content and put it out in the face of criticism and judgment, I think is actually a superpower. To not care what other people think, to not let their judgment stop you from pursuing the thing that has meaning and value for you. And maybe the most impactful, actually, if I'm really thinking about like what's been the coolest thing about creating content and the most life-changing facet of it of all, has simply been the fact that by sharing my stories and the lessons learned and the scars I've gathered over the years, it's helped people. It genuinely helps people. And the people who reach out in the DMs and the emails and the comments and say like, hey, this was genuinely helpful. I was in a bad spot. I'm in a similar place. And this has given me confidence and belief that maybe I can change my life too. Or I took this piece of information, I applied it, and now my business is growing. That is the coolest. That is the best feeling, to know that this thing that we're pouring so much of our heart and soul and resources into creating, like this is not free, right? Like we take time and energy and like money to make this, right? To know that this can help somebody for free. You're consuming this on YouTube and it costs you nothing. And it might be the thing that you needed to hear that helps you get out of the rut and change your life. Like that is the coolest damn thing of all. And so not only has content creation completely changed my life over the last few years, but I know that it's helped change other people's lives as well. And if there is one reason that I could encourage you that you should go out and do the same, like you should be a content creator and share your message with the world, it's that. You can be the lighthouse that shines bright into the darkness that somebody else might be experiencing in that moment in their life. It's a beautiful thing. And so I hope you take that step forward. And if you're already on that path, keep going. It's a long, thankless endeavor for many, many years, and it'll be very hard, and you'll wonder if it was all worth it. And my only message to you is that in the end, if you keep with it, it will be. So keep going, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.